It's time for the ultimate people's choice of breakfast.
Okay.
The BKMS breakfast with the expensive voice, Miss Easy Does It.
Oh yeah.
My love for travel started with writing.
Okay.
So I'll travel and blog about where I am, how I planned it, and so on and so forth. So I went to Europe, I went to Thailand, I went to the US, and I was always sharing about that. So when I started the Money Adventures podcast, the idea was to talk about finance.
Okay.
But every now and then I would do a travel blog wherever I am on the same platform. So as the platforms are growing, I started realizing that my audience is getting a bit confused. So that people who come to the platform or the YouTube channel to consume personal finance content, and the people who come for travel vlogs. So people who were not so keen about the travel vlogs were really, and at the time, the travel vlogs were doing far better in terms of views and engagement as compared to the personal finance one.
Yeah.
So gradually with time, I started realizing and I started listening to the audience to say that maybe it's not a bad idea to separate the two, because it was also becoming very frustrating for me. Here I am sitting with Miss E talking about business and entrepreneurship, serious conversations. Or I'm sitting with a professor and we're talking pension laws and so on and so forth.
And stuff. Yeah.
Retirement and serious conversations. And then fast forward, the next vlog is I'm out.
Okay, I understand why you would frustrate someone who's consuming your content.
Yeah, for me as well as a creator to say that I want to share this, and I'm out clubbing, I'm out doing this, I'm out doing all these adventure things that I do. But the next vlog is about pension funds and the importance of plan for retirement. So gradually with time, I decided to separate the two channels, and once I did, you could start seeing both of them grow organically and differently, because people who want to consume the personal finance content go to this channel, and people who are about travel, lifestyle, and all that go to that channel. So that was the journey and the transition. So it was a very seamless transition, and obviously it was also challenging because now you've built a following on this one, and then you have to start the
other one now
all over again.
Okay, yeah.
But funny enough, the Travel Escapes channel monetized quicker than that one.
Yes.
So it is growing at an
So
exponential
it's so ironic.
Like,
ironic that the money one is not bringing in the money.
Right.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about then how, when you started out, you already started out with a bang, right?
Sure.
I've never seen a video of yours that says, okay, here you were still starting. Even if I can say that, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Sure.
It didn't feel like you're just starting, because by just starting, I'm talking about, a lot of people will say, no, I just started on my phone. So you could hear that the audio was not really. But with your videos, I don't know. I don't know if you had planned before you started, but with your videos, quality is always, right up there. So did you, budget for it, or did you say, I'm starting with what I have?
So again, interestingly enough, the first video I was at some champagne festival in Masiri, right? I remember taking my phone. So I did start with my phone.
Yes.
I started with my phone, and if you watch that blog, which is still there, it literally, the audio is crap, the lighting is crap, everything is just wobbly all over the show. But for me, it was important to shoot that and to start. And at the time, I did not understand the difference between shooting in vertical versus landscape.
So landscape and portrait.
How you move it from platform to platform. Because how shooter for your TikToks and the likes, you want to shoot vertical, and YouTube is landscape or horizontal. So I did not know all of that, and I figured it out as I started. So the first vlog, it was not bad, and I learned how to edit it myself. So I started with that, and I was like, okay, let's see how it goes. But with time, because I'm very quality orientated, I started saying, okay, if I want to produce a product that can be consumed not just by Basotho, it's on the internet. I want people who come to the platform to get a certain look and feel that also resonates who I am and what my brand looks like. So gradually I started investing and planning for editing fees, for lighting fees.
Okay.
So again, collaboration becomes a big thing. So I find a photographer that says, I'm willing to grow, but I don't know how to grow. And I'm looking for a photographer who's got the skills. So there was an exchange of value to say that, okay, what can I pay you to edit, or how much would it cost? The guys I worked with will be like, for us, the most expense right now is the editing aspect of it.
Okay.
So if you can pay for the editing, we'll shoot for free. And I'm like, okay, fine. With every post that I put out, I will tag you and I'll promote you to my community and to my network.
So you reached a compromise.
So it was a compromise.
Yeah, or like common ground, not even a compromise, because everyone is bringing their A game.
I was getting the quality that I wanted and the skills that I needed, and they were getting the exposure and clientele that
they needed. And which is how we need to work.
How we need to grow. And it's beautiful to see how the brands that I've worked with, small, medium brands that I've worked with, have grown over the time. They're now working with corporate clients.
Yes.
And how my platforms have grown from that collaboration. So that's how we started.
Because some of the names are popping up as you speak, and I'm remembering some of the people you started with and how much I've seen them since.
Exactly.
You know, so I'm like, I'm seeing it in real time happening and unfolding in real time. So then let's talk about then how you stay consistent, because there's also another frustrating aspect, right? I have followed your journey for quite some time now, right? And I'm like, I don't know what's missing, because I think when I see the quality and I listen to the content and I watch the content, you know, I'm just like, there's no reason why these numbers are growing so slowly, right? Does it not get frustrating for you? And how do you stay consistent? Because I feel like there's so much money you're spending on this. There's so much time, dedication, but you stay consistent regardless of how. I was looking at a screenshot you shared recently of the monetary numbers you're making. And I'm like, only now. TK, when are we?
and it's small monies, right?
Yeah, it looks like they sent it to my holotab vibes, right? And I'm like, TK has been at this for like 3-4 years, right? And only now are you starting to make like 30 rands. That was the highest amount I saw.
Yeah,
I was like,
in October.
And I was like, no way.
Yeah.
You know, and even to get your channel to monetize was also another journey. And I'm like, look at the content and the quality of this. It must be so frustrating putting your heart out there like this. And I want to know, for you, is it, how do you stay consistent, first of all, number one, right? And with starting, what was your goal? And how did, if it was a thing to begin with, right? How did the slow growth then affect you going forward?
I think, especially when you are putting your hard-earned money, which could literally go to anything else.
Yeah.
So I had to sacrifice sometimes going out. I had to sacrifice buying myself a pair of sneakers. I had to sacrifice buying whatever it is that I wanted to do, because I either had to pay, I had to fund the content creation. And I think for me, when you look at content creation, especially as a travel blogger, is you have to travel to the destination. You have to book accommodation and you have to pay for meals. So it's very expensive. So it was a lot of money that I was spending to get it done. And also you have to pay the editing of the content to get it to the required level. But I think for me, to answer your question on how to stay consistent, and a lot of YouTubers will say consistency is key, and you'll see your channel will grow if you're consistent.
If you're consistent, yeah.
For me, what makes consistency easier is because I genuinely love what I do. I enjoy what I do. As much as it costs me an arm and a leg at times, as much as it's frustrating, as much as the growth is slow and it frustrates the hell out of me, but it is really something that I love. Hunale feelings, God, for this level of excitement that I can't put into words. One of my editors was to say, TK, you need to calm down. Like, how content, say for example, at the end of the day, which could be midnight, I won't sleep until that content comes through. If I wait for that link, if I download the link, the video, and I watch it, if I'm just
like you're there, like, oh, you're
so
waiting for that
feel
fix.
so excited.
Yeah,
it really, really excites me. Whether it's a vlog, whether it's a reel, whether it's a blog post, like it's on my website. You know, when my proofread, a couple of my language editor sends the file edited, I get so excited. So I really genuinely love it. I love it. So the other strategy that I've learned from other YouTubers when it comes to consistency is I bulk shoot.
Okay.
So for example, I want to upload a video every week. I will shoot 4 videos in advance. So say for example, January content February is already shot and lined up. So it comes out So that also helps me not stay not lose the momentum, because I'm able to say, oh, okay, fine, this is how I do it. The other strategy that I think we often overlook is repurposing of the content. So say for example, I've got a 15-minute vlog. I can break it down into 4 minutes. I'll upload the 15-minute one, make it the other one into smaller clips that people can consume. Because the government has 10 minutes to watch a video. So you give them something for 10 minutes and you repurpose it. The video for that particular thing.
Makes sense.
There's a lot of strategies that I do, but the one that has been consistent for me is bulk shooting. 4 episodes in advance, hold on to them. I release something into the shooting. So that way I constantly have about 8 videos lined up. Because just from December, I have not uploaded a lot of content in December because there were a lot of events. So all the content that I shot will be coming out in stages. And I think about 10 videos I lined up for Escapes with TK only. And then there's Money Adventures with TK,
Yes.
which also has around 4 episodes lined up.
That's what
shooting.
that's what I call proper preparation prevents
I think-
poor performance.
Exactly. I think
Yeah.
the other thing that as well that has shifted how I approach my content is I started seeing my content as a business.
Okay.
So it's no longer for vibes. It's no longer for.
So then, as soon as you change the frame of mind, then also how you apply on or
Yes.
how you work, then
Yes.
also takes
Because
up that.
how we share, but you're thinking, I need to produce the best content, be consistent, so that brands, Hadibata, Babone, the consistency, and brands can say, hey, we're actually thinking of you, and it also keeps you top of mind for brand collabs and brand
Yeah.
deals. So I'm starting to see it as a business.
Okay.
That's the other thing.
That's where I was going actually
Sure.
about now the brands as opposed to the rest of the world, and especially let's not look far away. South Africa, right? In South Africa, companies, corporates, they're very ready to now. They've accepted that there's something called influencer marketing,
Sure.
right? And they're now willing to just spend money on that. They have a budget for that. They're like, okay, this one under our marketing, we're giving it to influencers and we're giving it to content creators, and we want brand placement,
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
then they were like, okay, we're putting money into this. In the country, do you think that there's an understanding? Because I've seen there's a lot of reluctance in a lot of industries in this country. You see it everywhere in a lot of various departments, government departments, businesses. There's a reluctance. People want traditional marketing more than they do, digital marketing on things. So then these brands, right? Do you think that they're now willing? How willing are they, the ones that you've worked with?
Sure.
Did you have to coerce them, or some of them came to you and said, we've seen what you do, here is some money, let's kick it?
So it's as I think in the Lesotho context,
Yeah.
there is still so much learning and understanding of the influencer marketing and the content marketing aspect.
Yeah.
So a lot of people still prefer the traditional one, but there is a shift.
Yeah.
And the shift is exciting to watch because brands are starting to see the power that content marketing and influencer marketing has, especially because it's also very data driven. So say for example, you're spending X amount on a billboard. You have no insights as to how many cars or how many eyes have
seen that billboard, yeah.
versus when you post a video that will give you analytics.
Yeah,
So,
analytics,
okay,
yeah.
these are the number of people who've seen it. These are the impressions. This is the engagement. But also it breaks it down to the demographics as well to say that X amount are female, 20% are male, or so on and so forth between these age groups as well. So there is a shift. It's still not as quick as it should be as compared to the South African market, but brands are starting to see, and I get the brands, I'm speaking corporate brands, are starting to embrace influencer marketing and content creation. But what's also exciting is small, medium enterprises are starting to piggyback on that and adding influence and content marketing into their marketing plans, and it's working. Yes, there's a lot of room for improvement and scope.
Yeah.
But for me, I have worked with a number of brands that have really paid quite substantial amounts.
Yeah.
And for me also, Nakongwe, as influencers or as content creators, I think we always think about the monetary aspect at it. Nakongwe, just having a big brand back your content,
Yes.
being posted on the page here,
Yes,
that particular
yes.
brand, that is currency.
Yeah, it is.
Secondly, there's one brand that we did, and they did not necessarily have the budget for my fees, but we did an exchange. But okay, instead of paying you X amount, how we can give you something to that
To the value of
and
what
pay
you charge, yeah.
And what it is that they were providing is something that I actually needed. So there's also all I need is send me a bottle of wine every
Yeah.
week, or send me a cab to pick me up. Or so that exchange is also very, very important
Yeah.
to say that how can we exchange? How can there be a value exchange of value between myself and the brand? But I think where Lesotho is currently, there's a lot of room for growth, and it's exciting to see that shift starting to happen with a lot of corporates and small medium enterprises embracing influence and content marketing. I think also to add on to that, the responsibility is also on us as content creators and influencers to start seeing our craft as a business.
Yeah.
Because many of us, the reason why they will default to traditional marketing is because we also lack the professionalism.
Yes.
You know, a simple thing
True.
as you're working with a brand and you did a campaign, if an influencer or content creator, you know, so we have to also make it easier for the marketing managers who are begging for that budget for them to embrace and support us.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to be very professional as well.
All right. Okay, so we're going to talk about, I want us to talk about now how we price, right? I want us to talk about money and because it's very tricky. I know the value that I bring, right?
Sure.
And then I charge you a certain amount for doing a voiceover for you,
Sure.
right? And then someone else says, I'll do the same thing for you for $500. I'm like, you're killing
The industry.
What are
Sure.
you doing, right?
Sure.
So I want us to talk about that, but now let's go for a breather. And then after that, we're going to be discussing that. In studio, I have Tokiso Nthebe, also known as the Finance Bachelor, also known as Dora the Explorer with a whole lot of aura, who's also an author. We're going to be talking about his, I told you. I got you with that thing. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about now how he's talking all things Escape to TK. He is a content creator in the country, one of the very, 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 very quality oriented ones. So we're talking about that. How are brands receptive to influencer marketing and how we can make money out of making content, creating content as Basotho who are interested in making and forming other streams of income. For now, back to it. It is the BKMS Breakfast. Hanging out with Miss Easy Does It. If it ain't easy, don't be sleazy, Miss Expensive Voice. Yes. But I say it all the time. You can't come here and accuse me of things. Right? You cannot do that to me. Absolutely cannot do that to me. Otherwise, it's 2 minutes gone after 8, and we're still chatting to TK, Dora the Explorer, with a whole lot of aura, who's also an author. And now we're talking about how do you then now determine what you price and how you price so that I understand what I'm paying for, right? So I approach you and I'm like, TK, I see the work that you're doing and I want you to do some work for me. I want to collaborate with you as a brand or as a business or as a, so now how do you then charge and, do you think that there's money to be made there?
There is money to be made, that is for sure. So I'm part of the YouTube Shorts program currently. So I'm participating in the program that YouTube is hosting for short form content creators.
Yes.
So we had a session on Wednesday, and one of the prices that came up in that session was pricing. So how do we go about pricing?
Yeah.
So firstly, pricing is very subjective, especially in an industry that is fast growing, very unregulated, not standardized.
Yes.
So people have different perceptions about it, and people perceive that value very differently, right? So what was shared and what was shared in that webinar, and what I've also experienced as a content creator is when you're starting out, people obsess about the number of followers that you have, so on and so forth, right? Yes, the number of followers that you have do matter, but it's also very important to say that can you convert the product or the service that the brand is selling or promoting and convert that into business, right? So that firstly is, do you have the ability, sales, depending on what metric the brand is looking for, are you able to convert that into whatever it is?
It's like, so these eyeballs that I see that have seen this,
are they converting, So this is where you see a content creator with 10,000 followers get a deal. Maybe one with 1 million followers also gets a deal, but the budget will be very different. So brands are also starting to say that we really, depending on the metric that we're following or tracking, are you converting? Is your community engaged? So for me, when it comes to pricing, I think before you can even think about pricing, think about the community that you're building. And you need to respect that community. The community are these people who follow and consume your content religiously. First and foremost, before you even think about pricing, think about that community and how you add value to that community. Number 2 is when it comes to pricing, always make sure that you understand your production costs. How much time does it take you to create the content that you're creating? Whether it's a video, whether it's a blog post, whether it is a voiceover, whether it is, how much time are you putting into that? So the first thing is you always need to make sure that your operational production costs are covered, right? And then again, depending on where you are in your journey, some people when you're starting out, it's okay to start small and charge small, but with the hope that you're building and working. So there isn't really a formula to pricing per se, but for me what I'll share with the community or the listeners will be always make sure that you understand your production costs. And once you've now built a brand, which a personal brand that you're building is, then you can start adding to say that my brand is worth this much. So some people, that's where the subjectivity comes in as well, to say, oh, do I charge 100%, 20%, whatever it is that I'm charging. But again, for me is if you're adding value to the community, and we always speak about the importance of niche, niching down. And if you have a very niched audience, then you are able to speak to the brand and say, this is how much value I'm bringing and this is how much I can make your brand stand out. Then you can charge for that as well. So pricing there isn't really a formula, but there is some science to it. So again, what I also do sometimes just to make sure is the sensitivity of talking about money also becomes an issue.
Yes.
Because I can then call Miss E. I can then call Miss E and say, hey, I've got this kind of campaign that I'm doing. I don't know how to price about it. How would you advise? So there's also that need for us to communicate and share notes as creators. Because we're not charging 1.5 for a voiceover, we're charging 500. Then we say we're not seeing Yamagak,
no, I'll be the first to say I charge 5,000 rand.
That's what I'm saying.
So someone charges 500 rand.
You get what I mean? And Mutare, again, the quality comes in as well. I charge 500 rand. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? If you charge them 5,000, the brand also says we can get somebody who charges 500 for this. This is where you then say no, but value one. This is how engaged my community is. This is how my analytics look. But this is also how much the synergy between your brand and my brand comes into place. So that quality that I am so obsessive about then comes in.
So you see how openly I just said that amount, right? Because it shouldn't be a secret.
It shouldn't be a secret.
How can I get shop and you want a slab of chocolate? The price is written right there. We're also offering a product.
Exactly.
Why is our product DM for price?
Exactly.
It's very tricky.
Exactly.
So then I want to ask you, and have you found that, I don't know if you've worked with other creators in the country. Do you think that it's something that's doable for all of the creators to come together and now reach a point where we're like, guys, we're in industry now, and we need to have a threshold.
Sure.
This is, how we price. Do you think that it's something that most of the creators in the country are willing to come to?
So for me, I'm an optimist at heart, right? I am very passionate about the creative industry. I am very passionate about Lesotho. So I do believe that is something that we can do. Because I was just reflecting the other day on how many creators I've collaborated with in different spaces, be it photographers, and for me, again, it goes back to the photographers that I work with. Please charge me because I want to be paid, right? So in the same way, I want to pay you so that you're also growing, right? Photographers that I've worked with, videographers that I've worked with, graphic designers, voiceover artists. So I believe in us building an ecosystem, showing up for each other and supporting each other, number one. And number two, I do believe that it's time that we really come together and work on standardization of pricing, policies, influencing legislation, because our creative work also needs to make us a living. If you're an artist, are you getting your royalties? If you are a graphic designer, if you're a photographer, are you getting money from the pictures that you're taking? And only those revenue streams can only be unlocked fully when there's a law that protects that, right? So I do believe that it's important for us to do that. And as a matter of fact, there's a program that I'm actually launching next month in the creative space, how do we do the business of content creation? How do you protect your work? How do you build a brand, personal brand and a business brand? How do you make money from your content? Also, how do we start influencing policy and laws so that content creation, the creator economy, is an actual industry that is recognized and that contributes to the economy of Lesotho? So I do believe that we need to do that and we need to mobilize. So I get excited every single time with a new podcast and so on.
Hello. I think we have a caller on the line.
Oh, great.
Hi.
Can't hear me properly.
You can't hear him properly.
Wow.
Okay. Let's fix that very quickly. You're so clear. I don't understand how that's. Can't hear you properly. I don't know what's that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about that. But because you're very clear here where I'm listening, so I assume that because this that I'm hearing here is what's going out.
Okay.
But I don't know what it is you can do. Maybe you could bring the mic closer. But you're very, very clear.
I'm very in front.
I don't know.
Yeah, sorry
like
about
literally. That. Sorry about that. So maybe you love volume. I don't know. But otherwise, no, this phone is giving me a problem. But yeah, you see someone here saying you're clear.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a personal problem for the caller. Sorry about that. But TK, let's talk about now, right? We're going to wrap up very quickly. I think in about 5 minutes we have to wrap up so that we can go into the sporting update with Peter Lex Mpakanyane, right? So now, tell me about the highlights of your content creation so far. And I mean, tell me if you had a goal, right? And what your goal was with content creation, and let me know if you've achieved that or if you're well on your way. And also just let me know what it is that you think were your highlights or that you regard as highlights, you personally? Because I could say, ooh, TK hosted the corporate challenge, he was an MC there, it was amazing. But maybe that doesn't constitute as a highlight for you. So you can let us know what some of your highlights were as well. And also, from an artist's point of view, from a creative's point of view, do you reckon that, there is a future? Like, how could this impact the country economically?
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that question. It's very loaded as well.
Yeah.
So for me, I'll start with what my goal was, or what my goal is.
Yeah.
So for me, the first goal was to start. I've always had a dream of being a media personality. So as far back as I used
TK's always had a dream of being
exactly. So I've always been in the creative space as much as I love finance. I loved TV presenting. I used to dream of being on top billing. And you'll see some of the influences.
Some of the things where you were at a restaurant, there was going to be a wine something.
Yeah.
And you were killing it.
Exactly. So I've always dreamt of being on YouTube. I'm not on YouTube. I've always dreamt of being on Yo TV. I used to write to backstage. I actually studied drama as well. So I've always loved that space, right?
So you're multidimensional.
I'm exactly. So I've always loved the creative space. TV presenting, hence MCing.
Yes.
I've always loved to be a media personality. I've always loved to be. One of my lecturers said, have you ever considered being a travel journalist? So I've always thought of traveling to different places, writing about it, showcasing it, and so on and so forth. So for me, when it says the goal that I'm able to do that now really blows my mind. Whether I'm in the US, whether I'm paid to be in the US or not, the fact that I'm able to do that really makes it exciting. Secondly, the fact that I'm now making money from it makes me even happier, right? But also for me, what also becomes fascinating is when you go to different places. Nikile Maftenka December, and I met this white couple that were in Lesotho, visiting Lesotho, and they saw me. They're like, "Hi, aren't you the guy from YouTube? We saw you at Malaya Leia." And I was like, "Oh, okay." They were like, "We're doing research about Lesotho, and we saw your video on YouTube." So for me, what that means is we then become a marketing. We then start marketing Lesotho as a go-to destination, and that means people come and bring and spend their money here. When I was in the US in October again, a few people who were like, "No, we really wanted to come to Lesotho." So I'm like, "Okay, great." They're like, "But we don't really know much about it." And all I did was like, "Hey, here's a link to my YouTube channel. Here's a link to my blog." And we read them. They were like, "Oh my God, okay, this is interesting. Now we really want to come." People who are in South Africa, Botswana, who want to know about Lesotho, now my platform becomes that go-to.
So it tells us
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All of that quality,
and
everything.
That quality becomes important because we are then able to say, and so on and so forth. It also creates opportunities for you. I was at one of the restaurants yesterday, minding my own business, out for a drink, and I met this lady who's like, "Hey, I follow you on YouTube and on social media. Actually, we have this thing happening at work, and we want to book you to come speak because of the content that you've been putting out." So it also comes up with a lot of economic opportunities for me as well. So social media and content marketing is not just for vibes, it's also a business that can also unlock opportunities for you. I get so many gigs purely because of the content that I'm creating. I write for blogs, I write for articles, I write for magazines, I write for newspapers. Sometimes people don't even know the articles written by you. Yes, we can lay a byline, but because of the work that you're doing, there's a lot of economic opportunities for us. So also now people can go, there's so much that you can do. Content marketing, key business is E. Like you can sell templates, budgeting tips on how to travel as a group, tips on how to, and you can sell those templates for people who want to start traveling. So there's a lot of opportunities within that.
Makes sense. So thanks so much, TK, for coming through. This is always a pleasure. Hanging out with you is always, there's always something that unlocks in my mind. I would think that TK Yamoteba, man. That's so crazy,
You do.
That's so crazy because there's always, just some nuggets of wisdom that everyone can always point out and pick up from that. I have a voice note here. I'm wondering if it's now relevant to what we were talking about, but the one that I got previously did not have anything to do with that. But you see, you're talking to someone else who's not me, right? So okay, and I had a problem. I had a couple of calls, but now the problem with the phone also didn't work out in our favor. But thank you so much for coming through, TK.
Thank you so much for creating a space for us.
Always a pleasure. But you know what? Please go well creative. TK creative. They are so good. creatives will want to only come to you when they have a new song out.
No.
They will want to come to you when there's something happening. They don't keep time. They don't, because, because, I don't understand. How then are we going to work as a people together?
Yeah.
If you do not respect me, first of all, I think that to me is an indication of
Sure.
First of all, I feel like you don't respect yourself, yes, but now, Linda, I'm also there. Subject to your disrespect for time, so then it just affects how now I consider you for future references. Yeah.
For me, the only advice I'll have
Yeah.
is if you're still seeing your photography, your voice, your whatever as a side gig or
Yeah.
a hobby where it's enjoyable failure, and you don't give it any respect, it's how you'll show up, right?
Yeah.
But for me, for creators that are starting to realize how that the creator economy and the creative industry is huge. There's a report that I read, the creator economy, and the amount of money bloggers, graphic designers, voiceover artists, songwriters, people within the creative space, ghostwriters are making. It's a lot of money.
Give us a
so
ballpark
if I remember from the top of my mind,
Yeah.
it was about, and this is in USD, around
Yes.
53 billion worth of money. And this was in 2022. I haven't
Yeah.
read the 2023 one.
The latest
So the
one.
creative economy, the creator economy is huge. People are making a killing from their creative art. So if you're still seeing your skill, your talent, or whatever it is that you're doing as not a business, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
And how you show up and how you dress up and how you treat that thing determines whether you become successful or not.
Oh, no.
So for me, my goal for 2024, right? I have only one goal.
Yeah.
And I rebranded to say, I gave this, I gave that. I'm a content creator, and my business is content creation. So how I show up, how I do it, and how I speak and move is I'm a content creator. And you can make, when people make those, hey, it's a 6-figure, I built a 7-figure business from content creation. I'm proud to say I have, last year alone, from content, I made 6 figures. Content
That is-
in Lesotho.
I need
In
a
Lesotho.
round of applause
In
for
Lesotho.
that. Come on.
6 figures.
That is very
and my
encouraging.
goal for 2024
Yeah.
is to move to 8 figures.
You TK.
In Lesotho.
You've done
Content.
it. You've done
Content.
it purely from content. That's what we need to hear.
Content.
That's what we need to hear. It happens. It's possible.
And if people need receipts, I'm more than happy to share the receipts.
TK, I say, TK, who has to take I've always said that, but Bamafiteng are cool. All of the cool people you can think of in the country was Bamafiteng.
The kingdom of Mafiteng.
Like Democratic Republic of
Democratic, actually, that's the one.
Democratic Republic of Mafiteng.
Yeah.
We are those people. All right. Finally, just give us your social media plug. Where do we find you? Your content. Someone who's listening for the first time and is interested in what you're saying and wants to make 6 figures.
Eight. 2024 we're doing 8.
Yes.
So I'm not going to talk about the personal finance one.
Yes.
Today we're
Let's talk
talking
about the one that we hear about.
Yes, the fun, exciting one.
Yes.
So I have a YouTube channel, Escapes with TK. It's a travel, lifestyle, and adventure channel.
Yes.
It's on YouTube. I have a Facebook page, Escapes with TK. It's also a page on not LinkedIn. On Instagram,
Yes.
But most importantly, my one-stop shop, I have a personal website, www.tkinthebe.com. That's where you find all my travel, lifestyle content. Yeah, so
Absolutely
head over to my
amazing.
website because I need that traffic on my website. Yes.
Shout out. Thank you so much, TK. Until next time, I hope to see it come into fruition. And I know that you're someone who also, when you say something, you do it.
Absolutely.
And I always make reference to what you had said about what you're hoping to achieve with the Mandela Washington Fellowship. Yeah. So, and every time I read that, I'm seeing that TK is doing all of this,
Absolutely.
has done all of this. So now that you're saying 8 figures, I know that you're going to achieve it. All of the best of luck to you. I'm going to be consulting you a lot, like TK.
Hit me up.
TK.
There's a whole program that I'm launching, free program.
Okay.
Purely for creatives.
Shout out. Yeah, let us
Purely.
know. Hanging in
So this program is sponsored by the US. They provided funding.
Yes.
So what the program is about is called the Personal Finance, Financial Planning and Personal Development Program for Creatives in Lesotho. So I'm bringing in people who are going to talk about intellectual property and copyright. I'm bringing in people who are going to talk about business structures and how to set up your creative business as a business.
Okay.
I'm talking about personal branding, how to use technology and leverage technology, the importance of AI, you know, the importance of having a website as a creative. We're talking about digital marketing, how to leverage social media, how to work with brands. You know, I'm bringing something to talk about how to work with brands. These also how to manage your finances as a creative. So it's a whole full shop. It's a Masebo, it's a Hala, Labibe, Mafiding, and one of the districts in the Highlands. Purely for creatives.
Absolutely amazing.
Free of charge.
Hey, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there.
Yes.
I'll say it on a public platform.
Please.
I'm going to
And if you can't be there, we're also doing an online course for them as well. So guys,
no
the creative
excuses.
economy is where it's at.
Shout out.
Creative
That
economy
was.
is where it's at.
Thank you so much,
Love,
TK, for
peace,
coming
and money.
through. Love, peace, and money. I love that money, especially that last bit. That was Tokiso Tkay Nthebe, Dora the Explorer with a whole lot of aura, who's also an author. Shout out for